All right, Lions fans, welcome to another edition of Believe in Lions, brought to you by FanDuel. I'm Trevor Thompson alongside Glover Quinn as we get you set for Week 16 in the NFL. And it is a huge week for the Detroit Lions, who are coming off a 41-34 road loss at the hands of the best team in the NFC, the LA Rams. And Matthew Stafford gets his revenge in a game where Jared Goff and the offense couldn't get enough done on the road in order to help their playoff hopes. So we'll talk about that in this edition of Believe in Lions as we get things started here today. And Glover, you were in LA at SoFi for that big game. I saw you all over social media taking pictures with all kinds of Lions fans, that big smile on your face. Looks like the Lions traveled well for this game. What were your takeaways from the event all in itself? Your time in LA, the game, and everything that unfolded for you on your trip?
Man, it was a super cool experience, man. I kind of got a call from the Lions. They were doing this event called Ford Field on the Road. I think it was the first one. And, man, it was pretty dope, man. The Lions fans showed up. We were at this place called Tavern on Main in Santa Monica. And shout out to the owner, too, man. I don't know. I don't remember what his name was. But the owner of that place, man, he worked his butt off that night, man.
He set it up for you guys, did he?
Yeah, man. He did his thing, man. I got to give him that. So, but it was cool, man. The Lions fans showed up, man. It was cool to see a lot of the fans take pictures, hang out, mingle. I've always been, a man of the people. I like to hang out with the fans and kick it and, all that good stuff. But they showed up. They were there, and even at the game, it was a lot of Lions fans there. It was really like Ford Field on the road. They traveled. They were loud. They had the blue on. It was a great environment. Obviously the Lions didn't get the win, but I just thought the environment was good. The fans were there, man. So shout out to the Lions fans for traveling, for showing up at the event, supporting the event. Hope you guys had a great time with your customized stuff, your meet and greet. Hope it was cool. And then for showing up to the game, man, it was pretty cool.
What did you get to feel like the prevailing thought or sentiment among the fans was? Were they hopeful the Lions were going to make the playoffs? Did they think they had a long run in them? Or they think that this thing's going the wrong way? When they were talking to you, what were their thoughts?
They were excited about the game. They were ready to go. They felt like, hey, man, we're here. It's go time. It's Detroit, man, and they were really pumped up and excited to see, because obviously we understand that Michigan, Detroit, it's cold up there. So there's a lot of people that grew up in Michigan or Detroit area and have moved to sunny California. And so to get your Detroit Lions team that's now performing well, playing well, to have a game in LA, they're excited. So they were there. They were ready to go. Met a lot of fans that were from the Detroit area that just lived in LA. But yeah, nobody was really talking about not making the playoffs or missing the playoffs. They was really just in on this game and winning the game. I even met a lot of people that said they listened to the podcast. So shout out to those guys.
All right, awesome.
Listening to the pod. It was just dope all the way around, man. Like I said, I always love meeting and talking to the people, man. So it was cool, man. But yeah, everybody's spirits were high. Everybody was just excited for the game. It was just it was kind of a typical LA kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's always just kind of happy and, just happy in LA. So that's kind of how everybody was, man. I was excited for the game.
Yeah, because the sun was shining. They weren't digging themselves out of snow like I was back here in Michigan. It was cold as balls, bro. But they had a lot to cheer for in the first half. I thought this was a win. The way that offense was running in the first half, it looked like it was going to be a shootout, but the Lions were going to get the job done. A lot of really feel-good moments in that half. Amon-Ra was going off. Goff looked like he was on his A game. And then came the third quarter, and they could get absolutely nothing going offensively. The run game, only 70 yards the entire day. You were up close and personal. I'm not sure where you watched from, whether it was down on the field level or up, maybe in a press box or up in a seat, and what vantage point you had. But what did you see going on, and the difference between the first and second halves, in your opinion?
Well, I thought the big thing with the game is, honestly, the Lions have to get Jahmyr Gibbs going. I mean, I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, man, I haven't heard Jahmyr Gibbs. I haven't seen a play, haven't done anything. And when you talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, you talked about the lack of running game that we had, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so when you have a lack of running game, that affects Jared Goff. He is not a consistent, just drop back passer, just go and do his thing. He thrives off of the play action pass, and that's totally fine. You just got to get the run game going. And they didn't do that. And just over the course of time, they were able to get enough stops defensively. And, getting into a shootout with Matthew Stafford with the lack of guys that we have healthy in the secondary to play, I mean, it's just going to be tough, And Matthew Stafford had his whole slew of guys until Devontae got hurt. And we were in there with a banged up secondary, and just over the course of time, if you're not getting consistent pressure and sacking Matthew Stafford, he's just going to make some plays. We all know that. And so I think that's really what happened. The game just kind of turned. You can feel the momentum in that third quarter. You can just kind of feel it. Went from a big play. Then I think we got a punt or something. And then it was another, like it just went like 2 scores, I think, like really quick. And you could kind of feel the momentum shifting big time. And yeah, I think that's really what it was. They never could get Jahmyr Gibbs going. And like I say, Amon made a couple big plays.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson made a couple big plays. But Jahmyr Gibbs is the one that sparks that thing high.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's not going, it's tough. And he didn't get going. They did a great job of slowing him down, and ultimately that was the main reason why they were able to get that win.
What happened defensively? I mean, Puka Nacua just went off, and in that second half, they just could not stop the Rams' offense. Obviously, they couldn't stop them. They put up 41 points in the end. What were you seeing on the defensive side of the ball that they were able to take advantage of?
Well, they just was stretching them out, man. When you look at the vertical passing game down the seams, you got linebackers having to run with those guys down the seam. They putting Puka in the slot and got him working vertically down the seam. The tight ends were able to catch some passes down the seam. There's a lot of vertical passing game, and then when you start doing that, it loosens up those linebackers, and now you get the running backs, Kyron Williams and Blake Corum,
Mm-hmm.
breaking off
Yeah,
little runs here and there. Then that starts to play with those linebackers. Now they got to try to make tackles on the running backs, but then they got to try to run with the DB with the wide receivers down the seams, and you just don't have enough playmakers in the secondary. That's veteran guys that's able to make plays out there. And I'm sitting there looking at the game and I'm thinking about it, and I'm seeing situations where you got the tight end on the outside, you got the you got Puka in the slot and things like that. And I'm just sitting here thinking about times when I played, and I was like, man, there would be times like you get those situations and you know what the offense is trying to do, man. And so I'm communicating to my corner, hey, I know we plan certain type of coverages, but hey, I need you to stay up on number 1, because if I got to defend 1 and 2, and I'm talking about the tight end on the outside and the receiver in the slot, right? If I got to defend both of those guys, I'm going to be in the bind. But we know that they're trying to isolate this wide receiver on our linebacker. So, hey, you stay up on this tight end. Like, you run down the sideline with this tight end so that I can cheat and help this linebacker on Puka down the middle of the field. Because once Stafford or the quarterback feels that safety cheating down the middle of the field, then he's going to throw it down the sideline to the tight end for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get your corner to, hey, stay up on this guy. Like, if they throw it to somebody in the flats, we'll drive and tackle it, and we'll live and fight another day. But we're not going to just let them keep throwing the ball down the seams to Puka or to whoever the receiver is and just keep killing us. No, we're not going to do that. So this is what we're going to do. But they don't have those guys in the secondary, in my opinion, that's veteran enough, that's played enough, that understand. I know you have a certain playbook. I know you have certain rules. I know you have certain things. But at the end of the day, you have to play the game. And sometimes it doesn't look exactly how it looked in the meeting room. It doesn't look exactly how it looked on the practice field.
Sometimes,
but
you have to be able
to play the game. You got to be able to problem solve. It is what it is. And most of the time, if you know what you're doing and you make calls and you execute it, when you go to the sideline and coach asks what you're doing, you can say, hey, coach, this is what we did and this is why we did it. And most of the time, it's okay. Why? Because we want to win the game. These are results. Now, if you go out there and you're just doing whatever you want to do and you have no reason behind what you're doing and it's probably not going to work, yeah, they're going to get you out of there because you're just out there doing whatever. But if you got valid, hey, man, this is what we did. This is the call that I made. Everybody was on the same page. We used to always say, hey, man, if we all wrong, then we're all right. It is what it is. We all wrong. We're all right. Long as we're all playing the same thing and we're executing, we're getting off the field, hey, man, we can fix it on the sideline. And I just don't think they have veteran guys out there that's doing that, and they're just playing what the coach called, and sometimes you got to be able to make adjustments on the field.
What you just said without really saying it is these injuries in the secondary are catching up with these guys right now. They haven't got the level of play that they need to stop an offense like that, to stop a guy like Matthew Stafford, who FanDuel right now, excuse me, still has as the odds-on favorite at minus 260 to be the MVP of the league, and he's playing like a league MVP. This is looking like the best team in the NFC, the way they handled the Lions in the second half. The injuries are catching up. So if the injuries are catching up at this point, you've still got 3 must-win games to go. What are you going to do? How do you get it done?
I mean, you just got to start with one game at a time, like they always say. This is the most important game. Pittsburgh Steelers coming into town. That team is very familiar with Aaron Rodgers. Well, at least the Detroit Lions are very familiar with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know about this team specifically because I don't think they've played Aaron Rodgers, really. He's been with the Jets the last few years. I think he was in Green Bay, 3-4 years ago. So I don't know when the last time they've really played Aaron Rodgers, this team. But the Lions organization is very familiar with Aaron Rodgers. And, he's an older guy now. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers that we used to have to defend against, but he's still a very good quarterback and he can make throws. And after playing a couple of cold games that they've had the last few weeks, he's probably going to be excited to be inside in the dome and in the warm weather and, and to be able to sling it. He's probably going to have throwbacks and memories, flashbacks going through his head about the throws and the plays that he's made in Ford Field. And,
yes, and there are a few of them.
Right, especially if this is his last year, he's going to be reminiscing about the good times and some of the bad times that he's had in Ford Field. And so he's probably going to want to go out and, do his little whatever against the Detroit Lions. And so the Lions are going to have to understand that and be ready to go. DK Metcalf is probably going to try to be one of those guys. He's a front runner type of wide receiver. And so he's going to be playing with, I don't want to say inferior, but lesser known defensive backs and smaller guys. I don't know if a Mick is going to be able to go. And this is the thing, I want to say this real quick. A Mick, in football, you have to tackle people. You can't just punch people all the time. You got to tackle them. There's a time to punch the ball, and there's a time to tackle them and allow somebody else to punch the ball. Tackle football. I think every time that a Mick was in a tackle situation, I don't even know if he went for the tackle one time. He was just trying to punch the guys. And then he comes out the game in the fourth quarter because his hands or something hurt or broke his arm or something because you're trying to punch the tight end, bro. Like, what are you doing? Jeez. But I think DK Metcalf is going to try to bully those guys and try to assert his dominance, being a bigger, well-known wide receiver. So I think you'll get that from him, and Aaron Rodgers, probably going to try to take it up top. And they're going to try to see what they can do. And then defensively, they know they're going to have to try to stop Jahmyr Gibbs. So I wouldn't be surprised with, TA being the coordinator out there. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do the same thing that the Rams did. Mm-hmm. Let's limit Jahmyr Gibbs. Try to keep the big play off of you with Jameson Williams and, let Amon do his thing, but keep him underneath. He's going to get a couple first downs. We understand that. He's going to make a couple plays here and there. But let's keep the big play off of us with Jameson Williams, and let's slow down Jahmyr Gibbs and give ourselves a chance to win. And so that's what I'll be expecting from that game from not Green Bay, from Pittsburgh to try to attack us with, DK Metcalf and let Aaron Rodgers throw it. And that's how the Lions are gonna probably get attacked, slowing down J-Mo, let Amir eat, let Amon eat and stop Jahmyr Gibbs.
Over the last 2 weeks, Aaron Rodgers is 75% completion rate right now, 508 yards and 3 touchdowns. So to your point, he's going to want to sling it. He's feeling confident in there right now. He's got a weapon like DK Metcalf. He's got experience. I think he's playing in a building where he feels comfortable playing in. To your point, he's had some success in there, won some big games in improbable ways. So he's going to come in there with a little bit of swagger. How important is it going to be for the Lions defense to sort of knock that off of him early? You get him dirty, get the defense going, and maybe rob him of some of that confidence early on. And how can they do that?
It's gonna be extremely important for them to do that because they don't want him to get comfortable. Like I said, he's been playing in the cold for the last few weeks, so he's gonna be excited to be in some warm weather, and he's gonna be fired up. And he doesn't move the way he used to move, and so the one thing that the Lions are gonna have to do that they haven't been able to consistently do is get pressure on him. And we say that all the time. We know he liked the quick game. He liked the quick passes. He liked that stuff. So DBs, we got to be able to get up on those guys. But he's a smart guy. He see you playing up all the time. He's going to take shots down the field. He's going to put you in those situations. So you got to mix up the coverages. You got to be playing off sometimes. You got to play up sometimes. You got to show things that you're doing, show things that you're not doing. You got to be able to do those things when you're playing against a guy like Aaron Rodgers. And then sometimes for me, what I used to do is I used to like to make everything look the exact same because these quarterbacks are smart. They realize that you're doing the opposite. They know, okay, every time he starts down, he's going back. Every time he starts back, he's going down. Every time he starts in the middle, he's going to the half. When he starts on the half, like they figure out, okay, he's just showing me opposite of what he's really doing. So I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I want to play everything from the same look. I don't want them to look at me and be able to say he's in man, he's in zone, he's going to the middle, he's going to the half, he's playing quarters. I want them to look at me and say, what is he doing now? Because he looked like that last play and he blitzed. He looked like that 2 plays ago and he was playing cover 2. He looked like that. You know what I'm saying? But I figured that out.
That's a good point.
Because Peyton Manning was in my division when I was a young guy. I was in Houston. I used to play against Peyton Manning twice a year. And when I was playing on the inside, Peyton Manning used to look at me every single play. Like, I used to wonder, like, dang, why Peyton keep looking at me? Every single play, he would just sit there and he would look at me. And that's because I was the young guy. So I was the tail for Peyton Manning to know what coverage we were in. He could look at me and tell when we were in cover 2. He could look at me and tell when I was in man-to-man. He could look at me and tell when I was in cover 4. He could look at me and tell when I was blitzing. He could look at me and tell because I was the young guy. And he could tell, right? So once I figured that out, I started having to up my game to play the chess match with Peyton Manning. So now I got to make things look so he doesn't know what I'm doing. So then that just evolves into like, all right, cool. This is how you got to play, especially when you're playing against the good quarterbacks. And it's probably why I got all of their interception balls in the house.
How many you got? Which one are you most proud of?
I got all of them. All of the top guys. They got all of them. Peyton, Eli, Ben, Drew.
Did you get Rodgers?
Did you get Rodgers?
You got one. You got one.
Got all of them.
Yeah,
all of them. Every last one of them.
Which one is the prize though? If you had to pick one, you got all of them. Which one is? I got this dude, or it was a big moment, so that's why this ball means more.
I mean,
can you pick one?
you got. I mean, you got the moments, right? I mean, obviously the one against Drew Brees, that was a huge interception to help us win that game. The pick 6 against Matt Ryan, that was a huge play just because of how it all came about and the preparation for it. Picking off Peyton is just Peyton,
Exactly.
That's just cool. Picking off Aaron Rodgers, he's a cool guy, but he's such a, He's such a quarterback. You know,
I had different words, but okay.
Right.
We're on FanDuel. We'll keep it family.
You know what I'm saying?
But I definitely had a different word for that dude.
Right. You know, so, and, you know, Eli, I mean, Eli's cool, you know, and just getting those, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I enjoy being able to say that a lot of my interceptions were against the top guys. I have some that were against guys that, you know, probably wouldn't be considered the top, but to be able to say in my tenure of my career, I was able to pick off Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Flacco, Matt Ryan, like those are some of the Tom Brady.
Wow,
but Tom Brady,
nice.
Well, Tom Brady pick, I will say this: the Tom Brady pick was in the preseason, but it was actually the third preseason game, and so, back then the third preseason game that's the game. That was the game, right? That was the dress rehearsal type of game. So that's not on my official stat sheet because they don't give us stats for preseason. But I still got the ball because I still picked up Tom Brady.
That's awesome. That's quite a hit list, dude. That's quite a hit list. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
you got them all.
That's cool.
Great icebreakers when you have people over to the house. Oh yeah, that's when I picked off Peyton Manning. Oh yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, and I got a couple pictures up of certain ones. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I enjoy all that stuff, man. You know, and at the end of the day, those guys are quarterbacks, right? So they probably got the same stories of touchdowns that they've thrown over certain people. Oh yeah, and it doesn't matter how good you are. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure Peyton Manning has torched Ed Reed, you know, for a touchdown. But Ed Reed can say, I got an iconic pick of Peyton Manning, and this is how I did it. Like, that just happens. You know, when you're greats and you're playing against the top guys in the league, they're going to make plays on you. You're going to make plays on them. And you just, you know, you compete and you have a good time doing it. And so that's the fun part about the game, especially if you can be good sports. And when you play against people a lot, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of a mutual respect, you know. Yeah. There's no love lost. You're just going out and you're trying to compete. And you understand, you know, who the good ones are. They understand who the good ones are. And you're just going at it, you know. And so I used to always feel like I said, I used to always feel that I could intercept the top guys because I felt like they trusted themselves more.
Yeah, they're going to take that chance.
The offenses, the coordinators gave them more leeway. And they were like, I trust my ability to throw the ball more than I respect you to go and make a play on it. Right, so you're not going to stop me from making the throws that I want to throw.
Yeah. Here's my fastball. Hit it if you can.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so they're going to do it, and I was able to get them. Whereas you play against some of the younger guys, they're probably saying, okay, I'm not going to test this guy. I'm going to take the check down because I don't want to turn it over. Yeah, I don't want to do this. And so they play a little more safer. And then, like I said, you get the older guys, and they're like, Aaron Rodgers, like, bro, I don't care. Like, Drew Brees is like, no, this is my read. I'm taking my shot. Like, you know. So I used to feel like they just give you more chances to make plays. And so going back to what we were originally talking about, the secondary just got to, you know, they got to figure out a way to I don't want to say mix up Aaron Rodgers, but he can't know what we're in because he still can pick you apart. And, you know, he's going to take his shots to DK. They use Gainwell out the backfield. They use him as a runner. They use him as a wide receiver. They use him all over the place. So they're going to have to be ready to stop him as well. But it's a must-win game for the Lions. If not, you know, it's going to be Christmas and it's going to be over with. Playoffs is going to be over, and that's going to be a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah, they're going to get the Steelers' best shot, too, because it's a big game for the Steelers at 8-6. The AFC isn't all straightened out as far as positioning goes, so they need this win, too. But my question, too, going back to Aaron Rodgers for a second, and I got to give him his due for what he's done. I did not think he was going to have the Steelers in a position like this. I did not think he was going to have the season that he's had, which has been a pretty decent season. If you look at it, you look at their record. You and I were talking earlier. You are what your record says you are. They're 8-6. They've got a shot at the AFC. How surprised are you at the position that Aaron Rodgers at his advanced stage has done? How surprised are you what he's been able to do this year with the Steelers?
I mean, I'm not really surprised at all.
No.
I mean, I hate to say it like this because the quarterback position is very difficult to play. But if you understand the game and you know how to play it, you can have situations like we've seen 44-year-old Phillip Rivers come off the couch and go back and play quarterback.
Mm-hmm. That was crazy. That was crazy, man.
They texting my phone like, guys, I'm almost 40. I'm not coming off the couch to go back and play safety.
No.
You know what I'm saying? We're not getting guys coming off the couch to go back and play running back. And these, quarterback, it's a mental game. Yeah, it's some physicality. You got to be able to throw the ball. But, mentally is the big thing. And so if you can think the game, you can make throws, right? So, yeah, that's why Phillip can do it. And if you're familiar with the offense, you can do that, right? So when you look at Aaron, I'm not surprised at all because he still can throw. The thing about it is it's all about how they build a team around you. And if they give you an O-line where you can feel somewhat protected, they give you some weapons that you can throw to, and they give you a run game, you don't have to do much. You have to just not lose the game. And I always say you just got to be able to make one or two plays. That's all it takes is really one or two plays that you just have to make. You might have to make one good throw, to prolong a drive to just win the game, right? But everything else, you're throwing the open guys. He's throwing it to the check downs. We don't see him making throws that he was making 15 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But he throws his slants. He throws his check downs to the back. He throws his quick screens. He throws, and every now and then we'll see him. I mean, they just completed a deep pass, I think a week or two ago. So we're not seeing him doing crazy things. He's just not turning the ball over as much. You try to get him in the right play and be that leader, but that's because you try to put a good team around those guys. You can't put him on a team where you can't put him in Cleveland, right? You can't put him in Cleveland where, he's not getting great O-line and he's having to try to just you can't do that. That's why he wasn't successful with the Jets, right? You just can't do that. It's just not, it's not going to happen. But if you put him on a team where you got good weapons around him, good system, things like that, he can manage a game. And like I say, we see Phillip Rivers come out of the couch and do it in 2 days of practice.
Which was crazy. Which was crazy. Yeah, that was a great story. Great story. But he is coming in here. Aaron Rodgers is with the Steelers, and according to FanDuel, he is getting 6.5 points. And the over-under for that game, 51.5 points at Ford Field on Sunday in a must-win game for the Lions. Your thoughts on the odds there, getting 6.5 for the Steelers and the 51.5 over-under, where that all sits at this point in such a big game for Detroit?
Well, I think the 6.5 points, I don't know if the Steelers can stick with the Lions in the shootout. I don't know if they have enough offensive firepower, but I just have to trust that Mike Tomlin, his reputation, Terrell Austin, I got to trust that they're going to try to slow down the Lions in a sense to where they're going to try to have it to be a 24-28 type of ball game. I don't think they're going to try to score 40. So the 6.5, that's a good number for Pittsburgh, starting the game out. That's a good number. I think the Lions get the win. but they're going to have to play like their hair is on fire. Mm-hmm. And some kind of way they got to get Jahmyr Gibbs the ball the first 8 plays of the game. Screen pass, handoff, throw it to him out the backfield, put him at wide receiver. It doesn't matter. Give him the ball 8 times in a row because he is the catalyst to the offense. If he's not going, J-Mo, Amon, none of those guys have the same impact as when Jahmyr is going. When Jahmyr is going, those guys are even better. Right. When Jahmyr is not going, it's tough over the course of a game. Yeah, they might have a good drive. They might have a good half. I mean, they had a great first half in L.A. Second half, it was like, all right, let's stop.
There's 2 halves to this thing. There are 2 halves to this thing.
So you need Jahmyr. So they got to get him going.
They're going to need the defense too. It's going to be a big, big football game. They have to win out. They do need help in order to get into the playoffs. Sounds like you're taking the over on the 51.5 points with the score that you thought it would be. But regardless, the defense has to show up. The offense has to show up. They've got to get some turnovers somehow. This is going to be a really big football game. As we wrap things up, what's your final thought? What you'll be looking for? Because there are so many aspects to this game that are going to be crucial to getting a victory. What are your final thoughts looking ahead to the Steelers at the Lions this Sunday?
Well, the Lions just got to stick to what they've, done the last 6 weeks. I feel like they won one, lost one, won one, lost one, won one, lost one. They haven't lost 2 in a row. They lost on the road on Sunday. So to continue the trend, they got to come out and win on Sunday, and hopefully they can get that win and then go on the road. But you can't win all of them if you don't win the first one, and you can't win the first one unless you show up at home, prepared, with your backs against the wall. This is what it is. You've put yourself in a situation to where not only do you have to win out, but now you need help. But none of that matters if you don't take care of what you got to take care of. Mm-hmm. And, we can say what we want to say. I've seen all the stats about the offense since Dan took over and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you've beat the Commanders, who are not a very good football team. You've beat the Giants, who are not a very good football team. And you beat the Cowboys, who, according to their record, they're not a very good football team.
They're not a playoff team.
So you've lost to the Eagles. You've lost to the Rams. And you lost to somebody else, Green Bay. Right? So you're not beating the good teams, and you're beating and struggling with the bad teams. So you got to find a way to beat the Steelers. They're fighting for their division. They're tied, I think, with Baltimore going back and forth. And, they're going to end up meeting up, I think, the last game of the season. So I know they're going to be what for what here or there. So they want to get this win. We need to win. It's a meaningful football game on so many levels. So the Lions got to show up and be what they're capable of being. And I think if they do that, they'll get the win and, prolong it another week.
And along the lines of Phillip Rivers, with all those injuries in the secondary, I would pay good money to see you get off the couch and get back into an NFL game right now. But since you say you're not going to, I'll look forward to seeing you back on the pod after this one. And we'll wrap it up and talk about the Lions and the Steelers and their playoff hopes after Week 16 wraps itself up in the NFL. For Glover Quinn, I'm Trevor Thompson. Thanks for tuning into this edition of Believe in Lions. It's brought to you by FanDuel. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to share and enjoy. And we'll see you on the other side of the Lions and Steelers this week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.